The comments made by the presidential and vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and Dati Baba Ahmed are incendiary and could amount to inciting chaos, rebellion and violence across the country. Hence, he has petitioned the DSS to not just invite the jail for questioning, but also to arrest them. A negative rhetoric or a points to push or prove. But the aftermath of the just concluded general elections in the country, we'll find out later on. But let's start on the program, shall we, with news surrounding President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has denied holding any secret meeting with the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwoola, in London, in order to curry the favor of the judiciary and his opponents, who, of course, seeking to battle to nullify his mandate. In a statement released last night and signed by the Director, Media and Publicity of the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council, Bayo Onanuga, Tinubu said he is currently in France and could not have also been in London holding the said meeting. Now, the statement also said the president-elect's attention has been drawn to a grossly fake and misleading, as well as purported malicious story about the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwoola, disguising himself to meet with the president-elect Bola Tinubu in London. Well, he said the story was a pure concoction from what he termed the hallucinating minds of hatchet men who are bent on creating doubt and public distrust about the legitimacy of the recently concluded elections in the country, which was won by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, the statement refuted emphatically that there has been no clandestine meeting between the president-elect and the CJN anywhere, describing the rumors as pure fabricated news, groundless, and lacking in authenticity. Now, the statement further confirmed that Tinubu, who left Nigeria on Tuesday, has not been in London but is in France to have a rest after a hectic campaign before proceeding to Mecca for the Lesser Hajj. Moving on, as a fallout from the just concluded elections in Nigeria, the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, have gone haywire, suspending its top leaders, including former Senate President and ex-Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator Pius Ayom, who's a one-time governor of, one-time governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, as well as other bigwigs in the party for alleged anti-party activities. Also suspended are former governor of Katsina State, Ibrahim Shima, as well as the Commissioner for Education in Benue State, Professor Dennis Itiavia, as well as the chieftain of the party in Zamfara State, Dr. Aslam Aliyu. Now, the National Working Committee of the PDP announced the suspensions in a statement issued yesterday in Abuja by the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Debo Ologunagba. Well, he said the Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom, has been referred to the National Disciplinary Committee over his reported involvement in anti-party activities. The PDP also urged all leaders, critical stakeholders, and members of the party across the country to remain united and focused at this critical time. Well, meanwhile, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, in reaction to the purported suspension of some party bigwigs, has declared that the National Working Committee of the PDP does not have the power to suspend the former governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, or recommend Samuel Governor Tom to a disciplinary committee. Wike stated this yesterday while reacting to the decision of the PDP leaders over the alleged anti-party activities of the two chieftains and others. Now, recall that the PDP, in a statement yesterday signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, announced the suspension of Fayose, as well as former Senate President Pius Ayom and others. However, addressing journalists in Port Harcourt at the Rivers State Government House on the development, Wike argued that the party's National Working Committee does not have the power to take such actions. Well, he said the national chairman of the party, Iyorchia Ayu, is the one who should be suspended for refusing to obey the constitution of the party on the zoning of political positions, which, by the way, formed a lot of heated debates in the lead up to the presidential elections. Now, he also said a new war has just started as he accused the PDP national chairman of witch hunting the G5 governors and members of the so-called integrity group. Elsewhere, the spokesperson of the APC, Presidential Campaign Council, Festus Keyamo, has alerted the State Security Services SSS of moves by the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and his running mate, Dati Baba Ahmed, to truncate democracy in the country. In a petition to the security outfit, which he said is personal, Keyamo said that comments by the two personalities after the presidential election of February 25 and March 18 amounted to what he called incendiary and capable of causing rebellion. Keyamo submitted his petition barely 2 days after Peter Obi filed his petition to challenge the victory of Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress in the aftermath of the February 25 election. Keyamo, who is currently the Minister of State for Labour and Employment, in the petition addressed to the Director General of the DSS, recalled that Dati Baba Ahmed had recently made a comment on himself and Peter Obi, wherein he allegedly threatened that if the President-elect is sworn in on May 29, 2023, it would signal the end of democracy. Well, it claimed that by posing as an accuser, a judge, and a jury all by himself, Dati Ahmed had unilaterally declared the duly elected president-elect as unconstitutional and, in a subliminal manner, threatened mayhem if the president-elect is sworn in on May 29. Keyamo also alleged that Mr. Peter Obi and Dati Baba Ahmed have camped some youths in a popular hotel in Abuja with the sole aim of instructing them to push out inciting messages every day on social media in order to cause panic and fear within the Federation and to incite people to riot and social unrest. Now, neither the Labour Party or its Presidential Campaign Council are yet to respond to the allegations as of the time of filing the story. But it's one matter that will be keenly monitored as we progress. It's left to be seen, of course, whether the DSS will take up the petition presented to it by the APC spokesman and perhaps invite for questioning Mr. Peter Obi as well as his running mate Dati Ahmed over the allegations that have been made against them. Well, let's move on now. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja will today deliver its judgment on an appeal filed by Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State, challenging the nullification of his election. Adeleke and his political party, the PDP, are urging the appellate court to set aside the verdict of the Osun State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, which sacked him from office. The Justice Tetsi Kume-led 3-member panel tribunal on January 27, in a split decision of a 2-1, had voided the declaration of Adeleke as the winner of the governorship election held on July 16, 2022. Now, in the majority judgment, the tribunal upheld that the former governor of the state, Agboyega Oyetola of the APC, who came in second in the election, had brought the petition before them challenging the election. It further held that Adeleke did not score the majority of lawful votes, adding that the conduct of the election was not in substantial compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act of 2022. Now, according to the tribunal, the petitioners, Oyetola and the APC, successfully established that there was overvoting in 774 polling units across the state. Now, meanwhile, dissatisfied with the majority decision that sacked him from office, Governor Adeleke took the case before the Court of Appeal. And in his 31 grounds of appeal, Adeleke maintained that the decision was a nullity, pointing out that the second member of the panel, Justice Rabi Bashir, failed to render her position on the petition, either orally or in writing, but merely appended her signature on the judgment. Let's move on. Former Director General of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, Doyin Okupe, has appealed his conviction on money laundering charges by the Federal High Court in Abuja. Justice Ayala Juku had in December 19, 2022 convicted him of 2 counts of money laundering and also sentenced him to 2 years imprisonment with an option of a fine. Well, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, had told the court that Okupe received over 200 million naira cash from a former National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired, without going through the bank. While the anti-graft agency also said he violated the provisions of the money laundering law. However, in an appeal filed yesterday by his lawyer, Jokiari Gadzama San, Okupe is seeking the reversal of his conviction, and that's because he has argued that he received the said amount in cash, not in his individual capacity, but for the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to then President Goodluck Jonathan on Public Affairs. Well, he said he had acted under the instructions of the ex-president and hence he should not be penalized unjustly. So, whether this is Doyin Okupe roping in ex-president Goodluck Jonathan and would he likely be invited for questioning as well is left to be seen how far this appeal will go. Let's turn our sights now to Ebonyi State, where Governor-elect Francis Nwifuru has vowed to use the people's taxes to develop the state rather than ruling the state for the interest of 1 or 2 persons. Nwifuru, who is the current Speaker of the Ebonyi State House of Assembly, made this known yesterday while addressing stakeholders and teaming supporters of the Labour Party, including its Guber candidate Edward Ngwagu, who paid him a courtesy visit at the Speaker's Lodge in Abakaliki. The governor-elect said he will not be governor for the interest of a few persons, but governor for all. Now, he has vowed to run an all-inclusive government and also accommodate members of the opposition, especially stakeholders of the Labour Party, who before the March 18 polls adopted him as their preferred candidate. Now, according to him, it is a must that he will accommodate people, especially the Labour Party members in his government, because they worked for it. Well, let's come back to Akwa Ibom State, where the executive and members of the Inter-Party Advisory Council of Nigeria, IPAC, Akwa Ibom State Council, upheld the election of Pastor Moino of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, during the March 18, 2023 polls, describing his victory as well-deserved. Now, they gave their approval on the outcome of the gubernatorial election in a statement signed by the group's chairman, Honorable Obong Emmanuel, and made available to newsmen yesterday. Now, the council stressed that Pastor Eno's landslide victory was an affirmation of God's divine will to ensure that the best candidate who understands where Akwa Ibom people are coming from and where they are presently was elected to lead the state from May 29 this year. And the council further expressed its hope that Pastor Eno's administration will foster healing and true reconciliation, as well as symbolize inclusiveness, selflessness, peace, unity, and entrepreneurial development as encapsulated in his Arise agenda. Well, 13 political parties, we should note, endorsed the statement, which was dated March 22nd, 2023. And these were the Action Democratic Party, the Labour Party, the National Rescue Movement, the African Democratic Congress, the All Progressive Grand Alliance, the All People's Party, the African Action Congress, Zenith Labour Party, Action Alliance, Allied People's Movement, the People's Redemption Party, the Boots Party, as well as the Social Democratic Party. In the same vein, we saw 6 Guber candidates of opposition parties in the state who had also taken part in the just concluded governorship election, also sending their separate messages of goodwill, hailing the election of Pastor Moino as the next governor of the state. Now, this candidate includes Nseka Hogan of the ZLP, Basekeme Kandem of the Action Alliance, Eyo Ekong of the Allied People's Movement, Sunday Kanem of the People's Redemption Party, Akanekbeyong of the Boots Party, and Ememudo of the SDP. Perhaps eyebrows raised when you consider that those who finished just after the now governor-elect at that race, referring to the YPP, the APC, the likes of the NNPP, have not been included as part of those who have actually been satisfied with the outcome of the results, so much so that they will want to accept the olive branch that has been extended by the governor-elect to join hands and chart a course forward for the development of the state, as they will perhaps be seeking litigations after expressing dissatisfaction with the outcome of the March 18 polls. Later on, as we progress, we'll try to ascertain how is it that the People's Democratic Party has managed to stay afloat in Akwa Ibom State as far as governance is concerned since 1999. Plus, the small matter of the petition to the Department of State Services by a spokesman of the APC and Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, who has alleged that the presidential and vice presidential candidates of the Labour Party, Peter Obi and Dati Ahmed, respectively, have made inciting comments that could lead to rebellion across the country after describing as unconstitutional moves to swear in President-elect Bola Tinubu come May 29. And he has asked the DSS to arrest the Jew. How far will this appeal go, and whether or not the politicking isn't hitting even worse than pre-election times? All of these and more will form the basis of our discussion when we do come back. Stay with us, Political Spectrum. We'll return. Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But
there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Political Spectrum live on Spectrum Television. Don't forget, you can always connect with us on Start Times DTH Channel 421. And don't forget, for live feeds as well, just head to our YouTube channel where you can subscribe to follow us and also leave us a message via all of our handles. We'd love to read from you as we progress. Later on, how has the PDP managed to stay afloat in Akwa Ibom State since the advent of democracy in Nigeria? We reveal the aftermath of Pastor Moino's victory in the just concluded governorship elections here in the state, and how the PDP managed to get the better of 17 other candidates who were registered to take part in that election. But first off, rhetoric, bickering and post-election reactions continue in the aftermath of the February 25 polls in the country, which saw INEC declare Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC as president-elect, a position that has been challenged by the opposition candidates who took part in the polls. Least of all, the Labour Party, who have petitioned, of course, the Elections Petitions Tribunal in Abuja over the outcome of that election. The vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Dati Baba Ahmed, had claimed a few days ago that it would be unconstitutional for President Buhari or the Chief Justice of Nigeria to go ahead to declare or announce or swear in Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president come May 29, 2023. Well, he has premised his argument on the fact that Bola Tinubu did not win or get the full requirements of the law as provided for in the Constitution by securing or accumulating the highest number of votes across the 36 states of the country, including the Federal Capital Territory. And so he said swearing him in as president would be unconstitutional. Well, that position has been taken up by Festus Keyamo, the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, who has petitioned the Department of State Services to arrest Peter Obi and his running mate over moves to, as he put it, truncate democracy in the country. It's a burning issue making the rounds across the country this morning, and we hope to get clearer and keener perspectives on this as we're being joined right here on set by seasoned political analyst Bernard Titus, who joins us live on Political Spectrum. Good morning to you, Ben, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Raymond. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you. I'd like to start by asking what's your take on Festus Keyamo's comments, because it's come as a surprise to many that we have the APC-led administration of President Buhari who were told grieving opponents of the just concluded elections to channel their grievances to court. And that's something the opposition parties have done, including the Labour Party. So it's not out of place for them to say, we're not satisfied with the outcome of this election and we believe from our position that Tinubu did not secure the constitutionally approved requirements to make him president-elect, and so going ahead to announce him should be seen as unconstitutional. But here is Festus Keyamo claiming that such comments could spark a rebellion and would likely truncate democracy in the country. Do you agree with his views?
Thank you very much. Firstly, it's laughable, Festus Keyamo reckless comments on countless time. I vividly remember from, it was the same person who said that Bath should be in prison by now. There are publications across all newspaper regarding most of the comment. And here is a son who has never won any reasonable case in this country. And he's not the only son. If he claimed to be the only son, I beg to differ in his opinion. There are profound lawyers that have, analyzed the Constitution clearly. And so I think, I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't, debate with him. But in a common sense, the Constitution is clearly spelled out, detailed enough for him to understand. When you say a president must win two-thirds and FCT, the word and, common English now. So Abuja is just and, meaning if you have 23 and one is out, common sense means that you are not complete. So probably the lawyers, like we've seen on the across social media, one of the senior advocates sneak out of the town on a wheelchair. So probably Festus Keyamo is one of those lawyer. Can I call him a church and bell with all due respect? Because he's been making a whole lot of noise on social media regarding what has transpired on the presidential election. Secondly, we are in democracy. Democracy means everybody must be free to air he or her opinion on issues, right? So Labour Party has challenged the verdict regarding how the APC candidate was announced, right? There are a lot of irregularities surrounding his candidacy or his presidency-elect. Firstly, he didn't meet the 25% as stated by the law. Secondly, he is a drug baron. The United States have given all papers, documents regarding his fraud antecedents.
There are some of his supporters who believe we should just let sleeping dogs lie with reference to his history of being convicted for drug-related offenses.
So in other words, I should steal and then become a president overnight as well too. That's what it means. So we are becoming a lawless nation gradually, where anybody can go away with any. You just commit any blunders and then the country celebrates you. It's still in the same country we saw a certain high-profile individual was sentenced in the U.S. and then he came to the country was celebrating him for coming back after stealing trillions of naira, and he came back to the country. There were a whole lot of drums at the stadium, at the airport, welcoming him back home. So don't be surprised that Keyamo, in a Nigerian context, by the current situation, he is also right in his context, right? Because we are in a country where the law cannot, it's meaningless to say. Because we've seen from 1999, how many times has particular opponent win election and the next people challenge it, and then the bench give a thorough perspective and that was satisfactory to the citizen. 0.00%. So, and we are also aware that the verdict in the court right now with the Peter Obi and LPC candidate, we know what is going to be the outcome. There will be a lot of numerous interpretation with the word "and." You know, the lawyers are very good with interpretation, so I'm not surprised. In fact, if anything happens, I'm not surprised. But something very profound must be stated very clear. Of politics, Festus Keyamo should put this to bear, that the reason why this country is as calm, still, and well collected is because Peter Obi has presented himself as a very lovable and peaceful person. And if it was not, the reverse was the case, there would have been a clown down on the nation policy. Because why? 95% of the youth and average person across the institution believe in Peter Obi. And we came out massive, not because of what they have given us from 1999, because the Nigerians saw hope, saw a straightforward person. He's not perfect, but he's a lesser criminal. So we saw a lesser criminal coming to say, hey, I don't want to steal everything, but then let's put the nation forward. And that is why you see, like I said, 95% of the population are calm, collected, because Peter Obi have not said anything that can revolutionize the system. I like his perspective. But if Festus Keyamo think that the statement the VP that he made on the channel is, I read through his petition to DSS, and he has made gangless, reckless comment in the past. DSS didn't arrest him. And here is a man who said that if you, but come on, the citizens are aware of the word and what the Constitution clearly spell out regarding whoever that must govern this state. So if anything contrary to that, I would like to join and air my opinion as well, that if anything contrary to what the Constitution clearly spell out.
Plus his running mate Dati Baba Ahmed, he had clearly said it would signal the end of democracy. But it looks like from Keyamo's position, it sounds like a statement like that is simply trying to incite people to take to the streets, cause chaos, a rebellion, and in his words, truncate to do something unconstitutional is simply in itself truncating the democracy that we have been, promoting and entrenching since 1999 up until date. So does it look like mere politicking on the part of the APC through Mr. Festus Keyamo, or truly the DSS can invite the Joe in question to interpret.
Why so be? And like I said, they are vulnerable, they are humans. They can err at any time. And I can tell you, the both individual will own up to their whatever flaws they made. But in this particular context, what dirty meant was clearly spelled out. You can't go ahead to swear in a president who never or did not meet a 2/3 or 1/3 of what the Constitution clearly spelled out. On that premise, he is right. Talk about it if there was no clutch of hand, meaning FCT is also inclusive as part of what gives you the legitimate right of you becoming a president. So if we go ahead and swear in Mola Tinubu with the lapses, the flaws, Nigerian democracy is over. And I can tell you for sure.
It also leads us back to pre-election rhetorics that were also pushed around, reference to MC Oluomo's alleged ethnic profiling of the Igbos, and he hasn't been invited for questioning. Also, the PDP's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, earlier on in the week, claimed that the fact that Bola Tinubu did not make any comments with reference to MC Oluomo's remarks shows that it was actually okay with the rhetoric being pushed around and the ethnic profiling and attacks on Igbos, where we saw alleged and massive voter intimidation during the Lagos governorship polls. So much so that he described him as the late German dictator Adolf Hitler. We haven't seen an invitation or the APC crime file and calling for the DSS to arrest Atiku Abubakar. So does it look like Peter Obi and the Labour Party is just being targeted in this case?
It's quite obvious and clear that they have been targeted. And you see the reality is dawning on them that INEC collaborated with the APC to ensure that they messed this nation up. Because at around 4 a.m. in the morning, if I'm not mistaken, you went ahead to announce a president. Nigerians were still sleeping. Right?
You have a problem with that?
I have a problem with that.
Why is that so?
Why I'm having a problem with that is he promised while the coalition was still on, a lot of party representatives raised concern. And he said, let's allow the process to go on. When we are done, we will go back and reverse and check where these issues are occurring and see how we can rectify them. To me, that was a perfect statement. And the process went on smoothly. Of a sudden, you didn't keep to your word again to go back and verify the claims of the party agent. The next minute, an announcement. And quite okay.